was the only time I ever took pictures before a show. You know, but I think he posted them since posted them online now.
Mm.
Yeah, because back then, you know, he didn't post it. You know, he wasn't into all that posting stuff.
I find it really like when you think how coaches work with their athletes now, they don't even need to see them because we've got phones that have really good cameras. You know, but now a coach doesn't even have to see you to be able to prep you properly because of that. So is it true that back in the day you'd have to get 35mm camera photos, send them to Chad, then you'd have to wait? Tell us about that.
So I did go down there every year and see him before I started my diet. I would go to his show, and I would always guest host too. So while I was there, so I go to the show and he see how I was looking, and he judged how I was looking, how we was gonna start the diet. And then once I got back, you know, the first 2 weeks after we started the diet, I was sending photos. And then he would adjust my diet from the photos that I sent. So after that, I would send photos every week.
Yeah.
Every week. And he adjust my diet according to how I looked in the photos.
It's crazy because now you got coaches that say, right, I want photos from your phone every hour in the last kind of few days. And now you're having to take pictures and you're having to get them processed, then post them in the mail. And could you see how different things were?
Well, see, you know, actually, you know, the last few days I was always with Chad.
Right, okay.
But I would always get to the Olympia on that Tuesday. He would get there at, you know, the same day. So the last, you know, back then, you know, it was a one-day show.
That's right.
So we would have the show on Saturday, you know, prejudging at 2. And then night show at around 7. So I would be with him, about 5 days? Okay. Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday.
Wow.
And he would come by. He would come by like every couple of hours.
Yeah. Every couple of hours to check your condition.
Pretty much the same, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, the next question. You've talked a lot in your book about how much you admire Lee Haney.
Yeah.
The first part of the question is, apart from his physique, what did you admire most about Lee Haney?
Personality. He was one of the nicest guys you ever wanted to meet. I started bodybuilding in 1991. 1990. And I met Lee Haney in 1991 when he won his last one. And he, you know, nicest guy you ever want to meet. Backstage, you know. Of course, I'm just an amateur, but I was working security. That's how I met. You're probably wondering how I got backstage at the '91 Olympia. Well, that year I worked security at the Olympia. And you know, of course, since I was working security, I was able to get backstage. You know, I talked to him and everything. You know, took pictures with him and everything. He's just like the nicest guy you ever want to meet. You know, you know how that means to a guy who did his first year, maybe my second year in bodybuilding. So that, you know, that just meant a whole lot to me. You know, being my second year in bodybuilding, I'm meeting the greatest bodybuilder of all time. Back then, you know.
So that was a few weeks before you turned pro in Hong Kong.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Hong Kong. It was Poland.
Poland.
Yeah, Poland. So yeah, it was like 3 or 4 weeks before the Poland show. Yeah. Yeah, but I had no idea I was going to turn pro because it was only my second year in the sport. You know?
That's crazy. That's so crazy. It's insane. Because I remember when I saw the picture in Flex magazine, because you took 4th at Nationals and there was a twisting shoulder, you know, your twisting sort of back shot. And I was like, who's this guy? Because that was the year, that was the amazing, that was like Kevin Avrone, Flex Wheeler, Paul DeMeo, you know, Bob Chick was there. And then I was like, who's this guy? I was like, he's really good. You know, it's, it's crazy to think that was your first year.
Well, that was my second year.
Second. Yeah.
Yeah. people don't know it, but I got third my first year in the nationals.
When was that?
Yeah, at the national, I started bodybuilding in 1990, right?
Yeah.
Well, 1990, I qualified for nationals.
Okay.
My first year in the sport. I went to nationals and got third.
Wow.
Behind Jerry Rogers and Edgar Fletcher.
Jerry Rogers and Edgar Fletcher.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was the year that they drug tested.
Oh, okay. That's why you went to Poland?
Yeah. Well, no.
Sorry, Hong Kong.
No. Did I go to Hong Kong? I can't remember when I went to Hong Kong. I think it was in 91 I went to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
I can't remember now. Milos would know.
Yeah, let's get Milos back on. He'll tell us. He'll give us all the facts. So, aside from Lee Haney, even obviously you've been a powerlifter, you've been training for several years. Who else did you really kind of look up to and admire in the sport?
You know, I didn't know anybody at the time because I hadn't read magazines and stuff until I got into the sport, you know. And then, like I said, 90 was my first year. So at the time, I'm still learning about it. So Lee was at the top, you know, so I knew him. But I wasn't a historian, so I didn't go back and learn about everybody else until I got, you know, real deep into the sport.
You literally hit the ground running, Ronnie.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did, you know, for my first year, you know. I made it all the way to nationals and got third.
Did you
bodybuilding.
Did you think, okay, I might have something here, I might have some talent here that I might need to exploit?
No, I didn't. I didn't think nothing of it.
Really?
Because the only reason I did bodybuilding was because Brian told me to give me a free membership to the gym.
Wow.
So I didn't know anything about it, you know.
Yeah.
Well, at least I got this free membership to the gym, so I'll just do it for that. I never, took it serious or nothing, you know.
So tell us about when you bought that first magazine, because I remember it was April 1990 when I bought, and I remember who was on the front cover, who was in it. What was it like when you got your first bodybuilding magazine? What sort of impression did it make on you?
Yeah, none whatsoever. No. I didn't think nothing of it, you know, because I was like, oh, these guys are big. I ain't gonna be able to do that much in this sport.
Really?
I'll just, just read over this thing and see if I can learn anything, because I didn't know anything. I didn't even like bodybuilding.
Wow.
No, I didn't even like it. Like I said, it took Brian probably about, after I met him, it took him probably about a week for him to convince me to do it. And I would have never done it, had he not convinced me to do it. And the only reason why he convinced me is because he told me to give me a free membership to the gym.
Yeah.
Had he not said that, I would have never done it.
What? Ronnie, have you ever sat and thought what would have happened if you hadn't A, met Brian Dobson, or B, gone to Metroflex? What do you think would have happened? What direction you would have taken? Do you think you would have ended up in bodybuilding? No.
I would have never done it.
Really? Why?
I would have done it. Just put that in the microwave. Yeah. I would have never done bodybuilding had I not met Brian, because I never had any interest in it. You know, I was already working full time for the police department.
Yeah.
So that would have been my career basically.
So you would have been a policeman that did a bit of powerlifting on the side for fun.
Yeah.
For fun.
Yeah. Maybe. Because at the time, I wasn't doing that powerlifting stuff. Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't start doing that until I went to Metroflex.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have went to Metroflex had I not ran into another guy that I worked with who cause I was working out at the station, at the police station.
Yeah.
And it was free, So I would just stayed there, and worked out. But he said, "Once you come over here to this gym, they got a lot more weight." And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So had I not met him, I wouldn't have went to
Yeah.
We just happened to meet because we were on a call together, you know, and that was the only call I ever had with him. That one call.
One call.
I never had another call with him after that.
Wow. Okay.
Certain things are meant to be.
Yeah, I think maybe you were meant to meet, weren't you? You were meant to come into your life and change that direction, and kind of he spotted your talent and he encouraged you, and it kind of set you on a path that you've never looked back on.
Yep, exactly.
Right, now going back to the Lee Haney, this is kind of the thread of meeting Lee Haney, how you perceive him. Someone's asked, why is it seems that the most successful people like yourself, the more humility they seem to have? Why is that? Because I think that really emulates you and Lee Haney, because that's what people kind of say about you generally. But why do you think that is?
With me, I gotta say it's because I never thought I'd be in that position that I was in. I didn't get into bodybuilding, because I thought I could win the Olympia. I didn't get into bodybuilding saying I'm gonna win the Olympia one day. I just got into it because Brian told me to give me a free membership to the gym. So, to me, I would have never been, Mr. Olympia had I not met Brian. So it's just because of the chance that I met him that I ended up, being who I am. Because I never, ever wanted to be a bodybuilder.
But say let's the start is 1990, and 1998 is when you won your first Mr. Olympia. What about how things changed 4 or 5 years in? Because 4 or 5 years in, you were competing regularly, you were doing Olympias, you were starting to make progress. Surely that changed your mindset and your attitude towards being a bodybuilder and what you wanted to get from it. Surely that changed as it went along.
No.
Really?
No, never changed. I was doing it for the free membership to the gym the whole time.
Or even when you were like on big contracts and things, and you were winning pro shows?
No, I never got any big contracts along the way. Yeah. I didn't get a big contract till I won the Olympia.
Wow. You were still making a living alongside your police career.
Well, no. See, when I was at the police department, I had part-time jobs that I made money from. I would work at Denny's on Fridays and Saturday nights. I worked for my apartment complex, so I would get free rent. Mm-hmm. I had full benefits, medical and dental and life insurance and all that with the police department. So I didn't need bodybuilding because I was making so much money working for the police department.
Yeah.
So because I didn't need bodybuilding, I never depended on it.
Right.
So because I never depended on it, I never thought, I'd be in a position to make a career out of it.
Yeah.
Because I always thought my career was going to be with the police department.
So you left
until I won the Olympia in '98.
But you left the police in 2000, correct?
Yeah, 2001 Arnold Classic.
Oh, you left. So it was 2000, 2001. So you'd already won 2 or 3 Olympias. You must be making a good living from it. What was the day like when you decided, okay, I think I really need to leave the police force and just pursue being a bodybuilder full time? What was the thing that changed your mind and made you realize that, okay, now I'm Mr. Olympia, I need to pursue this full time?
When I showed up to work one day and they're like, man, you always gone. You don't really need to be here that much.
That's what he said. Is that what they said?
That's what they said. Yeah. So that's when that decision was made. That was like 01,
So if you hadn't heard that, would you have carried on?
I would have carried on. Yeah. Yep. Sure would have.
Were you sad to leave?
I was fun doing it,
Yeah. Were you sad to leave?
Oh, I cried all day.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. It was the most depressing thing that ever happened to me at the time.
But bodybuilding was just taking up so much of your life, and you were mega successful. So that's where you went. That's where
I went. Yeah. But had they not told me that, then I would have still been there.
Still competing. So you used all your holidays up on competing.
Yeah, those benefits were hard to give up, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I
So
said, I enjoyed working there. I had a lot of fun. I look forward to going to work all the time, you know.
yeah.
So I didn't want to.
Yeah. So the next question, of all the traveling you've done with with your supplement company, with your bodybuilding, everything, which is your favorite country you visited and why?
Australia was always one of my favorite countries because people spoke English, number one, and they were the nicest people I've ever met in my whole entire life. The nicest by far.
Was it 2006 you went?
Yeah. Huh?
2000.
No, my first year in Australia was 1997, before I won the Olympia. And I went there. I'll never forget it. And people were like, they treated me like I was Mr. Olympia, you know. I'll never forget it, you know. I had these girls coming up to me, and they would be holding their boyfriend's hand, asking me for a kiss on the jaw and stuff. I'm like, I got a boyfriend with her. She tried to kiss on me.
Oh, I love it.
You know, I was selling, you know, T-shirts and and photos, and they bought everything I brought with me. And I'm like, wow, you know, I've never seen nothing like that before, and I've never, you know, I wasn't Mr. Olympia, you know, so it just caught me off guard because I never thought, I would be treated like that.
Yeah.
Like I was like a real star, you know, like I was somebody.
Yeah.
And to this day, you know, it's been that way. And I think I went back to Australia every year.
Every year?
Every year after that, yeah. Sure did.
Was that with Tony Doherty?
It was actually with Paul, I forget Paul's last name now. It's actually with Paul. Paul was the the president of the NPC over there.
Okay.
IFBB or whatever. He would invite me every year to guest post at his shows. Because the next year, you know, I won the Olympia.
Yeah.
So he invited me back again. And then he was inviting me every year after that. You know, to get he had like 10 shows a year.
10?
Yeah. He had a lot of shows. Yeah. So he would always invite me to guest post that, like, he'd have them like back to back. It'd be like 3 or 4 back to back. So I would go over there and do like a little tour every year.